Hey everyone, welcome to week 18, day 5. This is our last day on our complementaries week. So we've tried red and greens both on Monday and Tuesday, orange and blue on Wednesday, Thursday, although yesterday was a very earthy orange with that ultramarine blue, and we're missing yellow and purple. So it's a kind of weird mixture, but I think we can do a very cool painting with that. So let's see how that goes. Remember, next week, whole new theme. So thank you for hanging out with us this week. Bye. Okay, let's get started. Now for today, we're going to do a relationship that is quite peculiar actually. And I think that the reason that we understand it as being kind of strange and bizarre is because when we use the other two sets of complementaries, if we're painting with red and green or if we're painting with orange and blue, we can in a way associate it with the manner in which usually we perceive form in nature. If you saw the result from the first day, from Monday, red and green just didn't really feel limited, even though we were using three colors, titanium white, that cadmium red deep, and that cinnabar green. It didn't really feel like we were in the need of any other colors. We could have executed a painting solely with those three colors, and it would have been perfectly fine. It wouldn't have felt limited. And I think the same could be said with orange and blue. We could make an effort, it's a little bit harder, but we could make an effort in trying to represent form with orange and blue, and it wouldn't feel alien, it wouldn't feel strange. Now, and here comes the kind of cool part, when we think about yellow and purple, they do seem to kind of stray from the way in which we understand color and form is presented to us in nature. We don't usually think of someone as being yellow and purple. That just, again, seems a little bit off. And here is the most exciting part. What these two colors remind me of is something that is very, very true, but if we are caught in this big effort of trying to be faithful to nature, of doing naturalist painting, of doing realist painting, we sometimes forget that form is not dependent on color. And this is not just my opinion, this is fact. The ability to represent form in a three-dimensional manner is actually dictated by value. So if you want to describe form in space, if you want to speak about depth, if you want to speak about volume, you have to be mindful of value. That is the one condition. But color, it doesn't matter. You could paint yourself green, you could paint yourself purple, you could paint yourself blue, and it wouldn't matter. People would still be able to perceive you as a three-dimensional object in space. You would still occupy a space. So what that teaches us is that we could paint with any set of color relationships. We could interpret form in any of those sets of relationships, and we would be fine. The only thing we would have to deal with would be with the fact that it challenges the way we see. So if instead of doing a brownish, greenish stem in a rose, we actually make that stem and the leaves red and the rose is green, we're going to think something is off because our brain is so used to just saying, okay, the leaves are green and the rose is red, period. That's what we understand as, in a way, fact. That's what nature has taught us. So if we flip those relationships, our brain just goes, whoa, 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 something is off, something just doesn't really work. I'm reminded of something that was kind of cool, and I've told the story before, but I don't think I've told it during this project, which is that when my daughter was in preschool, in kindergarten, she was given this homework where she had to paint the grass and she had to paint the sky and there was a tree. And I remember she came home and she asked me something that you should never ask a painter, which was like, Dad, what color is the sky? So the right answer here, you have to tell your child, yeah, the sky is blue, right? But me, being the idiot that I am, I started saying, well, it all depends. It really all depends. The sky could be yellow, it could be red, it can be orange. It just depends on the time of day. It can be blue at night, it can be purple, it can be very gray if it's overcast. So I told her, you could paint it any color you want. Absolutely any color, because chances are there's a condition in this universe, in this world, where because of the light, because of the way light is refracting, you're going to be able to see the sky in those colors. So just paint it whatever color you want. And she was like, what about the grass? And I was like, it's exactly the same thing. You can see sometimes the grass is being yellow, sometimes it's being red, sometimes it's being green. It just, again, depends on light and depends on how light is hitting it. So she was like, wait, and the trees are not green and the trunk of the tree is not brown? And I was like, no, you could do it any way you want. So she started doing this psychedelic landscape, and she turned it in, and we got a call from school, and they were like, wait, why is your daughter doing this? What are you, she told us that you were talking to her, and you were telling her that, nature could be all these different colors. And I was like, of course, because I'm saying the truth. That's what happens in nature. It all depends on light, on how light is affecting an object. And I remember the teachers were like, yeah, but no, don't be stupid. What we're trying to see is if your kid has the cognitive development to understand that we can generalize the sky as being blue, we can generalize foliage as being green, grass as being green, and a tree trunk as being brown, because they have to have the ability to tie these things that we kind of rationally know as being true. And we have to measure to see if your child can actually echo those things as being true and represent them, in a simple drawing, that she's aware of her surroundings and aware of sort of the natural state of things. And I was like, yeah, that sounds right, but no. So I was actually skipping a few steps in my child's cognitive development by telling her that, yeah, anything can be any color, because while it is true, there are moments in our life that we have to acknowledge and we have to say, yep, the sky is blue, grass is green, roses are red. Today is actually a reminder of what I told my daughter. Now that we are all grown up, we have to sort of hear this from time to time, which is, things can be whatever color we want. It doesn't really matter. And if we are trying to represent form, it is absolutely true that we could actually have an awesome time just saying, I'm going to paint this greener, I'm going to paint this yellower, I'm going to paint this more purple, just because we can. And hopefully, this is not just about having the liberty to do something, which we all do, but hopefully we make these decisions because they make our image stronger. They're making the message that we want to communicate, the idea that we want to convey, stronger and more effective. And it can actually be transmitted quicker and in a more powerful way. We want to direct our painting, and we want to be conscious of the decisions and the relationships that we have in our painting. So by pushing things, we're trying to make that message super, super clear. It doesn't mean that we have to saturate everything. It could mean that we desaturate everything, that everything is gray. But our intent has to be clear. We have to try, we have to give it our best to try and have our perception be enhanced by the way we translate it into paint. So today I thought, well, these colors feel absolutely foreign. If I go with a more purple skin tone, it's going to feel kind of strange. My mind is just going to rationally try to think that we're at night or something. The same thing if I do it with yellow. I'm going to be thinking of a very bright kind of sunlight just hitting the body. And those things are fine. But I think that whenever you try to over-rationalize what you're doing, it tends to be kind of boring. So I thought, okay, let's just give in to the very powerful, expressive nature of these two colors. And let's try to use this cadmium lemon. That is actually a color. It's actually between like a yellow orange and a yellow green. So it's called like a cadmium lemon. So let's use this cadmium lemon, which is kind of, like I've said, The reason I landed in bismuth is because it's a little more opaque, it has a little more body, but I'm using a yellow that's a little bit more transparent. And let's put a base on this painting. Let's actually kind of tone this painting and start right from the start acknowledging that, yes, I'm going to work on top of this yellow. And by putting this purple on top of it, I wasn't trying to look for a perfect neutral or for a mix of both. Dioxazine purple is a very strong color. It's a gorgeous color, but it's very, very strong. So yes, the yellow in there is actually going to make it look like earthier, like a red earth. It's very strange. It's very, very strange. This is something that's quite fascinating about color. So at their most transparent, if you put the two of them together, obviously you have to put the darker one on top of the lighter one if you're kind of trying to glaze them, if you're, working with the transparent qualities of both. What you're going to get is like a reddish, sort of deep, earthy tone. It's very, very cool. But when you mix the two of them, when you start really mixing the two of them with white, oof, I actually didn't expect. I'm going to come straight and just say it. I never expected these two colors to be just incredibly complementary to each other. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy because as soon as I started mixing the two of them, I thought I was going to get something wacky, like a very dirty purple, almost like if you mix all your Play-Dohs together, that kind of purple that you get, that nasty color. I thought I was going to get that. I was like, okay, this is going to be like a really crappy mixture. That's why I wanted to have that punchy yellow. That's why I wanted to acknowledge the powerful, dark, velvety quality of the dioxazine purple from the start. I was going to lay it on top of that yellow also. And I thought, I'm going to have to do sort of what happened when I was using the orange and blue on my first painting with the transparent kind of lake orange and the ultramarine blue. I was like, I'm going to have to let these two colors almost, behave and be each other in their corners just so that I don't mess up the whole of the painting. And the truth is, as soon as they came together, I was like, are you kidding me? This is like a gray. This is a neutral gray. This is insane. And I was like, this is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. I never expected it because, throughout all this week, I did the red and green. And if I have to be completely honest with you guys, I thought the red and green in the first day was going to give me a better neutral than today. I was like, yeah, these two colors are pretty good. I think they're going to match. Nope, they did not. But still, I was able to do a cool painting. Second day, I was like, yeah, I'm totally sure these are not complementaries. It is a red and it is a green. And I did it exactly just to communicate the point that not every red and not every green are complementaries. And I knew that I was going to have like a super cool painting in temperature. And it was just going to be that. And I loved it. I was like, okay, yeah, it is what it is. Then I had that transparent orange lake with a ultramarine blue, which was totally weird. Then I did a earthy orange and ultramarine blue, which, like I said yesterday, it's like, it wasn't trouble at all because one was earthier. The cool blue is really sort of like a muted blue in my eyes, at least. I know it's a blue violet, but honestly, I don't think of it as a very saturated blue. So I was like, okay, these two colors are really toned down. It's going to be super easy just to gray them out because their nature just tends to just mix something that's already kind of gray. But today, given that the saturation of a cadmium lemon is high and the saturation of a dioxazine purple is just over the roof, I was like, no, this is not going to happen. This is crazy. And lo and behold, it's actually, the one relationship during the week which taught us that, yes, you can actually find two pigments that are absolutely perfect for each other, and when they mix, they actually make a crazy neutral gray, which is what I got. And like I said, wasn't expecting it. I could fake it right now and say, see, so I told you guys, like this was going to happen. Oh, no. Why? Because I don't use these two colors. Dioxazine purple, I think the last time I used it was like 15 years ago when I was painting my father's legs. And I used a tad of it because it tints a ton. So I used a tiny bit of it to glaze, almost like scumble/glaze, some little marks on my dad's legs just so that they would look like veins. That's what I used it for. And I never used it again because it's a super strong color. I was showing the tube to Danny the other day, and this tube is disgusting. It's been to hell and back. It is, ugh, because I've had it since 1996, I think. So that tube, that tube has seen better days. So I wasn't expecting it. I don't use it enough to know how it behaves. And I was shocked. I was absolutely shocked. So I was really happy to have my mind sort of travel to that place that taught me that, you know what, you could paint form any color you want. And just to bring a very cool artist to the conversation, I tried to remember when I had that kind of impulse and, you guys are going to kill me because I do have a catalog, or I actually don't think I have the catalog anymore. But this guy, Tibor Cernus, who's a Hungarian painter, he was a terrific painter, just really prolific, just absolutely masterful painter. He was doing some weird, wacky, like Caravaggio-like paintings in the 90s, but earlier than that, he was doing some strange work, but he's a tremendous painter. And I have a catalog that I think it's in my son's school now anyways, but where there are pastel drawings of his, and he is just remarkable at doing pastels, just insane at doing pastels. And there's this one pastel that where there's tons of, wacky colors. And I remember the first time I saw that pastel, you're not going to be able to see it because I'm killing myself because I wasn't able to find it in the internet. So blah. But anyways, I'm going to show other pastel drawings of his that I think are amazing. But what happened when I saw that particular one was like he was using purples and yellows and reds, and he would break form apart with these colors. And yet I was able to understand that there was unity in that form, even though, in that one, legs were purple and the face had like yellow and red. And it was just weird. But I loved it. I was like, oh my God, you could do that? Like you could break form so much. And for some reason, if your drawing is strong enough and holds everything together, you can get away with that. Like that's incredible. And I think it was at that point that I realized form is just something that's totally separate from color. You can use color to enhance form, enhance it in the sense that we can be conscious of its three-dimensionality because it echoes what we are familiar with the way in which we see it in nature. But if you want to paint somebody green, if you want to paint somebody yellow, orange, and all these crazy colors, and if you want to break those colors apart, like if you want to paint somebody's head purple and their body is orange and their hands are green, hell yeah, you could do that. I mean, that's totally doable. I mean, it's going to be tough, but you could totally make that work. And again, some of those pastel drawings from Cernus just really, really hit me in the gut because I was like, I always think that when we decide to be naturalists or realist painters, we do become slaves to nature. I mean, this is almost like a punishment that we seek. You are beholden to the laws of nature. And in the same sense that my daughter was supposed to paint the sky blue and the grass green and the foliage green and the tree trunk brown, when we are naturalist painters, we are sort of making a decision that we are going to be faithful to those overarching rules of nature and how we humans have been conditioned to understanding the sort of wholeness of nature, the rules of nature that are the ones that dictate that clouds are white and sky is blue and roses are red and grass is green. But it's always kind of cool to just say, yeah, I love those things and I love being able to perceive nature and respect nature and adore nature for what it is. But I also want to do whatever I want. Like I also want to give myself the chance to say, well, what happens if, That is some of the most exciting things that can happen through art. The fact that we can say, well, I know that works, but I don't want my life job just to sort of drill the fact that something that has been done for thousands of years indeed works. Like, I want to do a Raphael or a Titian or a Jerome or a Bouguereau, and I want to echo all those things. Why? Because those things work and those things are beautiful, and I just want to hold that torch and then pass that torch on to somebody else. Yeah, that's cool, but we also have to seek opportunities, we have to seek possibilities, and we have to, instead of painting that beautiful rock, we have to lift it and see what kind of cool stuff is under that rock. Sometimes, those nasty things can be super, super exciting too. So today was almost an invitation and a reminder to myself to say, you know what? There are so many opportunities to interpret, to reinterpret form out there through color relationships that, yeah, you can go back, and this is me talking to myself, by the way. I was like, yeah, I can go back to just painting with the grays that I love so much, but I can also give myself the chance to just say, I'm going to paint my hand, and it's going to totally look like a Thanos hand. I know everyone was thinking that. And I could do it with purple and yellow, and I could still have a blast, and I could still think of it as a hell of a painting. And I don't have to justify it in my head like, okay, what lighting condition could have made this possible? No, forget it. Like, it doesn't matter. Who cares if there's a lighting condition that could have made this possible? I don't want to hear it. Like, all I wanted to do was express my hand in a yellow underpainting and a purple painting on top. And I loved every second of it. So I guess that was the very humbling lesson for today and for the whole of the week, that it's beautiful when we give ourselves the opportunity to investigate colors and to try to get to know them more intimately. And there's no other way than doing it than through daily exercising and just training and retraining your brain and your perception to try and see things that you were blind to. So thank you for hanging out with us this week. As always, Fridays, Danny and I always thank you for letting us be your company during the week. And we remind you that next week we have a whole new theme. So let us continue being your company through next week when we try to investigate just a whole other aspect of painting. So thank you guys. I'll see you later. Bye.